Today we've got a lot of friends. This might be one of the bigger podcast episodes we've had in terms of individual people that are on the podcast. Today we've got our friends Ryan, Tim, David, and Kaylee. Just a whole crew. And I feel like it's maybe at least worth mentioning that these are all friends mostly through Furnace Fest, right? Like, Kaylee, you and I are friends outside of Furnace Fest, but I think the rest of you all, for both Cullen and I think we both only know each other from Furnace Fest, right? Am I correct?
Me and Ryan were friends beforehand,
true.
but that's it.
Yeah, through a mutual friend.
Yeah, I listened to your theology podcast, Mason, when I was more of a Christian, and then we also have a mutual IRL friend.
That's right. Yeah. I will say, but my theology podcast is really a great podcast for those that actually want to leave Christianity.
It works. You did a great job.
It's a great doorway for those just on their way out already.
Great work.
Doing my best. This episode actually, funny enough, even though these are a lot of Furnace Fest friends, we're actually not going to talk about Furnace Fest at all. Unless for some reason anecdotally, if that's how you pronounce it, unless that comes up. So, Cullen, do you want to give a little bit of a introduction to what we're going to do today?
Yeah. Do we want to introduce everybody first? Do you want them to introduce themselves?
Oh yeah, I suppose we probably should let everybody introduce themselves. So, Ryan, you're the very first person on my screen. So say hi, Ryan.
Hey, hi Ryan. It's a Home Alone joke.
Tell us who you are, what you're about, what's your background there, Ryan.
I grew up pretty close to y'all in Oldham, South Dakota, on a farm. Oh. Not in Oldham, but
I thought Oldham was just a farm.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like 100 people. There's not much going on out there, so I do have a Knocked Loose hoodie now that's got Oldham on the front, even though it's not the same Oldham, but still, it's in camo too, so it's pretty appropriate for out there.
Nice.
That is perfect.
But yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of CCM, a lot of oldies with my parents, a lot of Christian radio, and got into this kind of stuff a little bit more, like, I don't know, what do you want to call it, the tooth and nail scene, through like some Christian like video shows in like the early 2000s.
My favorite thing about Ryan is first time we met, and then the second time we met, it was literally just, can I stump Ryan with my music knowledge, and can he stump me with his music knowledge? It was the Cold War, knockdown, drag out. We were having proxy wars even. We were inviting all of our friends to see if they could stump us. It was a good time.
For Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, and
I
South Dakota
think,
party.
I do think if there's anybody who I don't maybe you guys all watched a show called Stump the Schwab. It was like a sports like trivia game, and it was like like all these contestants competed against one guy who just happened to know every fucking stat you could have ever imagined. I feel like Ryan and I are like, who's gonna compete to be the Schwab for the chariot? And I'll be honest, Ryan, I think you're the Schwab of the chariot.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's humble. He's humble, guys. All right, Kaylee, you're next.
Yeah, I'm Kaylee. I am Director of Communications and Digital Outreach for the Center for Prophetic Imagination, which basically means I make a whole lot of digital content. But music-wise, I grew up as like the rebellious Christian kid because I listened to Thousand Foot Crutch. If just to put you, give you like a sense of the conservativeness that I grew up in. Like, other than me, the hardest music that like a Christian person would listen to is like Supertones or something. So like my upbringing was very, very placid, I would say. But I discovered Under Oath and Demon Hunter, Dead Poetic,
so
and
good
stuff.
bands.
But
okay.
still good bands eventually. Thousand Foot Crutch is a good band. It's good to say.
Speaking of Thousand Foot Crutch, I used to have a running gag with a friend of mine who also grew up in the tooth and nail world, and this friend also does drag queen stuff. And we were thinking one day of like what would be a like drag queen names that like are tooth and nail inspired. And now I'm just realizing now you could do Rockfist or Cockfist. That would be a good one too. Yeah. So anyway,
Thousand Foot Crutch.
I'm just realizing that. David,
Hello. I like
Who are you
that
in the
intro,
world?
1,000-foot cock. That is what you said, right?
I did say
You rang?
I do
That
not
was
have
directed at
Somebody.
you.
Oh, okay.
That's the first thing to acknowledge about me. I wish I did. But I feel like the second I just got on this call, I was just like, they're just going to be expecting insane shit. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just confirmed the thought that I had right off the bat. But yeah, I am David Lawrence. Cullen, in particular, always likes to remind me that I've taken lots of nude photos of people. And yeah,
I'm
I'm
just jealous. That's it.
yeah, I'm a full-time portrait photographer and music nerd and just all-around lover of humans and being alive. I'm like a big old golden retriever.
That's a great description. 1,000-foot
Yeah.
cock, golden retriever.
Yeah,
Say no more.
1,000-foot cock. I should put that in my Tinder bio. I got
there you go.
side note, I got broken
Are
up
you
with
spayed too?
over the holidays. What'd you say?
Are you like neutered as well?
No, I probably should be. But what I was gonna say was these are all great things like add to my Tinder bio. So I'm really appreciative of this time and space. Thank you guys. May the Lord bless you.
It's a workshop.
Oh my
And
God.
last but not least, Tim, who are you in the world?
Oh gosh, what am I not in the world? So I am Tim. I am a licensed professional counselor. And so for my day job, I get to listen to people talk all the time. So it's fun to get to talk about stuff I want to talk about.
What kind of like diagnoses would you give David right now?
I wouldn't.
I
I'm not a
actually,
counselor right now.
when I was getting,
Mason, this is what people do all the time. I say I'm a counselor. I'm like, oh, diagnose me. I'm like,
I have paperwork.
no.
Right now.
If you want to hear
You have
this,
tapeworms?
What? No.
Tapeworms.
Good, let me check. No, I have paperwork. When I was
Oh, paperwork.
yeah. So when I was going through a divorce many moons ago, I had a Christian therapist who brought up that I might be on the autism spectrum because I was just saying so much outlandish shit, and that was really detrimental to my marriage at the time, which is a whole other podcast. So I went and paid $800 to go get a neurological test, and they were like, "You don't have autism. You're just insane." And so what I got back was general anxiety disorder, OCD, ADHD, and depression. And they also said in one of the linear notes that I showed small signs of narcissism. So I'm very aware of all of my diagnoses. I have way too many. This podcast is insane.
Everything but the tism.
But not the tism. I don't have the tism, and I have the paperwork to prove it.
Yeah, so that's my day job.
Sorry, Tim.
That's okay. It happens all the time. People know they can talk when I'm sitting here. Yeah, so my music thing, so, grew up in church, youth group, and I think my, introduction, so my introduction to, music, the good music, was, I, hit the, Stephen Curtis Chapman train pretty hard as a kid. Man, fantastic.
Are you down and in?
What?
Did you get down and in on Stephen
That
Curtis
was my
Chapman?
first concert.
I'm going deep. Oh, Carmen was my first concert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
Third day.
But we're third day. Nice. I saw them too.
Switchfoot
where I
open
went
for
from
them.
him was I think. Let me see what happened. Anyway, my claim to fame, the thing that I love the most, the people I got to see earliest in their career was a Reliant K show in the basement of Forest Burdett Methodist Church in Hurricane, West Virginia. That's spelled hurricane, said hurricane. Hurricane, West Virginia. Nobody knew who they were. They're I think this was before, maybe right after their first album came out, and it was amazing. It was so loud, couldn't hear a word he was singing, but it was just great.
All
I
you
think
gotta
that's
know
where
is Marilyn Manson ate his girlfriend.
he and his girlfriend. Yeah. So
That
and from
song
there-
did not age well. Just
I mean,
Just saying.
He was one of the first people to villainize Marilyn
I was
Manson.
gonna say,
I think
he was
he
a
was
prophet.
actually a prophet in our midst.
Ahead of his
That's
time.
okay. Yeah, but I don't know. Having a song about violence against women, and then then it ended up being true. So maybe I guess it did age very well.
Yeah, he was just speaking
Accurate.
the truth.
Yeah.
Matty T, man. Yeah, and then, from there, Five Iron was sort of my gateway into the bigger music world, which is kind of funny to say, but yeah.
That's fun.
That's me.
I love it.
Love it. All right, Cullen.
All right.
Well,
so
we're not here to talk about Christian music, though, right? Not necessarily Christian music.
or David's diagnoses.
Yeah, I was
We
going
are
to say
here.
or mental health diagnosis.
We are here to discuss perfect albums. Now, Mason and I have this conversation all the time, and I've had this conversation with a few other people as well. There's a difference between your favorite albums and your perfect albums. You know, you can look at any Beatles record, right? Beatles are probably my favorite band of all time, but they don't have a perfect record. They don't have one that's really even close to a perfect record. So what makes a perfect record? A perfect record is an album that, first of all, is not one of your favorite albums. Second of all, it has to be all killer, no filler. That means no interludes. That means no like chintzy songs.
No skits.
No skits, yeah. So like Outkast Love Below, right? Great album. But you get all these like weird like little skits that are in between half the songs. So not really conducive to what we would consider a perfect album. So all killer, no filler, high artistic quality, great lyrical content. Not a single note is really even out of place in the entire album. Generally has to be 5 years old or longer or older. It has to be timeless. So we're not referencing pagers or anything like that. We're talking about albums that keep it timeless in terms of its content specifically. I mean, obviously, if you have like 80s synth pop and that's like your jam, that's perfectly fine, right? But if they start talking about their their 89 Corvette and their blue collar job and greed is good, well, now we got a problem. It actually has to be an actual album. Can't be a compilation, can't be a soundtrack, can't be a musical, nothing of that sort. So no Wow 2004 for us here, unfortunately. And then
Does that exclude Hamilton? Like
that would exclude
Hamilton's
Hamilton.
soundtrack?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, man, if my students are so obsessed with Hamilton right now, I can't. I don't like Hamilton. I love musicals, but I don't like Hamilton. That's a side story. That's another podcast, right, David? Also, I kind of thought of like one like last stipulation. It's not like a hard and fast thing, but it is something that I've found to be true. This is typically one of your most listened to albums. It's one of those albums that you have countless hours on, but when you think of those albums, when someone asks you, hey, what are your favorite albums? It almost never comes to the surface first, even though you have tons and tons and tons of time with it, right? So that's kind of the basis of our perfect albums. It's a completely different distinction from your favorite albums. So does anyone have any issues with those parameters?
No, just the person that's telling me the parameters.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say it.
I see a hand raised.
I'm not upset that you broke your elbow.
I gotta say, I have no issues. I mean, I got a lot of issues, but I have no issues.
Clearly.
I'm beginning
Clearly
to
you
be
do.
convinced.
Really, I have paperwork, a whole list. But God, I have no issues with what you said. But what I was going to say is, I texted Cullen and our whole group chat this whole week, just in a panic because I just couldn't mess up this assignment. Like
I couldn't tell that you had anxiety at all.
Yeah, I was really struggling to define what a perfect album meant and how it was different from my favorite albums. But Cullen really stepped up as a teacher. He used his gifts that the Lord has given him. And he helped iron it all out, and it was all good. But I just wanted to say how much of a struggle it was. I was listening hard to stuff this week. I was fucking nervous.
David.
To be fair,
David?
it's still hard. I don't know if I have my 3 figured out yet.
I took one of them off the list as you were talking. I was just like, well, there goes one. I have an honorable mentions list.
That's okay. That's good. You should have a pretty good, healthy list of an honorable mention. But I do want to say, in this place, we do hard things, okay? And we can do hard things. And listening and being anxious about this is perfectly fine, David. We just got to work through this,
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah. You're not on a raft alone. We will throw you a lifeline. Let's do this thing. All right. So here's the order: Mason, Ryan, Tim, David, Kaylee, and then myself. We're going to try to get to 3 total albums. So what we're going to do is say the album first, and then basically we'll kind of discuss it all. And I don't want this to be like super confrontational or anything. Mason usually likes to make them confrontational, but this one, we're just friends hanging out. So
This isn't supposed to be a competitive one, so
yeah, it's not competitive. So
I'll be chill.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not good on my feet, so I've got some notes ahead of time to say a few things too. So
Great.
Good deal. Yeah, and then I was gonna say a few things about each album and why you think it falls into the perfect album category.
Love it.
Mason, you're up, dog.
So I'm taking this assignment more so just because I with Cullen and I hosting this podcast, I feel like I'm constantly talking about musicians and albums all the time. And so if you're a longtime listener of this podcast, you probably have a good sense of a lot of the artists and albums that I'm really into. So I'm going to try to take it in a little bit different direction where I'm going to talk about certainly albums that I think are perfect albums through and through, but I'm definitely going to talk about artists that I don't think I really bring up very often on this podcast. Okay. So these are artists or albums in particular that I think most people would be like, wait, you listen to that? You listen to that artist? You listen to that album? Like I'm that's sort of the route that I'm taking. So the first one, maybe genre-wise, I don't think most people would realize, most people wouldn't be a little surprised by, but they are certainly one of my favorite bands of all time. And I just feel like I don't really talk about them enough on this podcast. And I don't know, I don't think I really talk about them enough generally. But the album came out in 2019, so I think it might be one of the more recent albums. But the album is called We Already Lost the World by Birds in Row. Mm-hmm. This is an album that came out in 2019, I think probably around that time, or maybe in 2020. No, I think it was 2019. Or actually, no, thinking back, I think it came out in 2018.
I think so.
Were they on the Chariot farewell tour?
They were. Yeah.
They were very early on in their history. Yeah. Yeah, they were on that farewell tour. But yeah,
I don't know if I saw them. I think I showed up to that show late. I had to drive up from Sioux Falls that afternoon. So
yeah,
they're French, right?
Yeah, they're from France.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of the reason why they don't have as much of a following in the U.S. I think they have a much bigger following in Europe, but they are that album in particular. Like I listen to that album for sure at least once a month for the last however many 7 years now. It's just truly one of my favorite albums of all time. I think it's an absolute perfect album. And they just don't get enough credit. They had an album that came out a couple years ago that I thought was really good, but this album in particular, I just truly think from top to bottom is a perfect album. Even the last song, and Cullen, you and I talked about this recently on an episode where the closer of an album seems to really matter a lot to us. And this album has one of the best closers I've ever heard. And so it's just, to me, top to bottom, a perfect album. It's got the right mix. To me, the way that it's sequenced, that each track is sequenced, is just perfect. So I just think it's a perfect album.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's definitely one that it has great dynamics and it moves in directions that you don't necessarily expect. No, I'm a huge fan. Good pick, Maze.
I got it saved in my library already. I'll check it out.
Good
It's
deal.
so good.
Ryan, you are up next, my man.
This is one that Hey, what's up? This is one that I encountered on a thing called 10 Most Wanted. I don't know if you guys watched that at all or not. It's back in the day.
Oh,
there used to be a...
Is this the show that used to be on CBS and they're it has pictures of terrorists and stuff like that, and they're is that what you mean?
America's
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
Wanted?
No, for
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
I'm asking for real. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
no, it's not. This is a Christian music video show that was on.
Oh, okay.
It was on DirecTV on Saturday nights that we had, but I think there was actually like a standalone like satellite service for a while too. It was called Sky Angel. I don't know if you guys have heard of that at all or not.
No.
I knew like one person that I went to college with that had it at their house. So it was just like TBN and that kind of crap. So, but this album is No Sir, An Album's Not Practical by Showbread. So
He brought evidence. I love this. He's got receipts,
I
guys.
figured that'd be fun. I got the CD too. I got back in the day. I got a little story about that. I'll tell in a second here too. But so this is one I encountered on 10 Most Wanted. There was another thing called the Video Zone that this other guy. That's where I first heard about the Chariot. So that was a fun time too. I saw the video for The Company to Comfort the Grave. But let me pull up my notes here. So yeah, this one's got some great cohesion. I don't think I thought about it not that long ago, but like the beginning of this album is like kind of a telephone conversation, and then like the outro of the last song is like a dial tone like going off hook, which is really cool. So it sort of like closes the loop. Not exactly kind of like. There's a couple albums where it's like basically you put it on shuffle, or not shuffle, but you put it on repeat, and like the album is just a circle. I think like one of the David Crowder albums is like that, if I recall. But so there's like a lot of really cool interstitials and like extended outros. There's like a chainsaw noise before like Dead by Dawn, kind of like with the whole Evil Dead motif on that song. So that's a lot of fun. So there's like an orchestra getting in tune on one. There's like an insect invasion thing going on later in the album with like some bombs going off and stuff too. But yeah. This one, the lyrics are pretty crazy. I'm not a huge lyric person usually, especially with like hard vocals. It's hard to get into that sometimes too. But it's fun on this one because Ivory and Josh are both like they both do lead vocals, but they both do hard vocals and clean vocals too. So that's kind of unique, I think, to this one. More so than some of their stuff as well, or also with other bands as well. But what else I got here? So yeah, when I went to go buy the CD, I heard the song "Mouth Like a Magazine" on this show, and it's like that's pretty catchy. It's got some like hard vocals, and this is probably the first I think like album I bought with like probably pretty hard vocals. And I remember I bought that the same day I bought this CD that I have here, and I bought this album by the OC Supertones. It's the greatest at the same time, and I remember checking out the albums and like. I think I kind of got scared of the Showbird album a little bit, and like listened mostly at the time to the Greatest Hits by the Supertones, and ended up really liking obviously like the Showbird album a lot more within a year or so, or however long that took. But that was Crossroads in Sioux Falls. If any of you guys ever
Crossroads in Sioux Falls, man,
at the Christian bookstore. So
what a place!
But yeah, especially the song "Samsa Meets Kafka," which is like really abrasive and brush and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's a really long album too, which is kind of cool for something that's this good. And there's some Reese Roper guest vocals too on a couple songs, and different dynamics in terms of like some really like kind of like heartfelt like clean vocal stuff. Yeah, it's just a lot of variety, but it's all over the place in a good way.
Yeah, no, I think you said it right. It's cohesive. It's the kind of album that when you put it on, you want to listen to the whole thing, even if you were just hoping for like a little taste, or you just wanted like a little snack of
the singles, or like a magazine.
Yeah, as soon as you hear one song, you're like, all right, and I don't want to listen to the rest of the album. You know,
it's like watching a movie on cable or something. You kind of are in for a penny and for a pound at some point.
100%. Yeah, I'm usually there for the Pepsi commercials, but dude, very very well done. I agree completely. Anyone else got anything to add to No Sir, Nihilism?
I was just gonna say that the David Crowder band album that did that was Requiem. That was the one that had the loop around.
I love it. Mm-hmm. That's a very creative thing for a David Crowder type band to do. That's interesting.
Is that the last one, or is that the one that has like I Saw the Light on it?
I think that's the last one that they did as a band. I want to say.
Like
nice. Yeah, very nice. All right, next up is Tim, the Tool Person Taylor.
All right, so
we're ready for it.
Okay, so I've got a couple, but I'm going to start off with the one that I really think like has proven itself to be timeless. Billy Joel's "The Stranger."
Oh,
fantastic album! Like
good
that's
pull.
one that like you can start and be like, I'm listening to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My first experience with this album was my parents' basement, probably college, and like they had just bought it as one of the big old record players. You know, you like get it like a used place. My dad bought it because he like bought random stuff, and so he bought this thing. And there's a bunch of records that he also bought at the record store, and there happened to be one. It's like, let me listen to this. I just listened to the whole thing, and I think there were points as it's going where I'm like feeling tears coming to my eyes. I'm like, a couple of the songs I've like maybe heard parts of before is like oldies or whatever, but I was like, this is good. Like, this is like no skips. I want to listen to that again. And I think I ended up listening to it like 3 times in a row, like that night. It was just that good.
Yes.
I was like, man, this is fantastic. I don't think there's any skips on that. And it's just like lots of cool stuff. Like, I was like, this feels like somebody could have like written and recorded this yesterday, right? In terms of like what he does, like the recording techniques and just the different, I don't know, like, you know, you ought to know by now. Like, you can, somebody starts singing, it's like, oh yeah, I know that song, right? It's just like, there's nothing hokey about it, which I think is really cool. Like, sometimes I feel like music, like top 40 hits and things like that, it's like, it's kind of hokey, a little whatever, but this is like, there's no moment of that. I also think it's cool that it's kind of like a concept album. Like, he's not just writing, he's like kind of writing from a particular perspective too, right? So it's a character or a couple of characters, I don't know. But that was definitely one that came to mind. I was like, I don't really listen to that, but like, if somebody put that on, I would sit down and just listen for sure. Yeah.
I love that one. I love that one a lot. I think that's one of those records that it doesn't matter who you are. It's completely universal, you know. And you do kind of fall into that character, that the stranger that he talks about. So, yeah.
I have a lot of nostalgia for the opener, Moving Out, when I worked at the post office for a few years back, shortly after I was in college. It was on the radio a lot. And I think I hadn't heard that one before. I was familiar with like some of the other big ones of his before that, but I hadn't heard that song. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a fun one.
I think that's Billy Joel's best song, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a song called Souvenir I like a lot of his. It's really short. It's on a different album that I really like by him.
I gotta listen.
I think it was an episode of How I Met Your Mother is where I encountered it first.
Very
Totally
good.
unrelated to the album. I'm just seeing on Billy Joel's Wikipedia page that he graduated high school 25 years later.
What?
At 43.
Really?
Oh, it's like
Yeah, because he had a
from
missed
when?
English exam. He was awarded his high school diploma 25 years later.
He received an honorary high school diploma.
The funny thing is, he's actually. It looks like he's received. How many is this? It looks like 7 honorary doctorate degrees, though.
Probably before he had his high school diploma.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's like Jill
So
Biden.
funny to me. Exactly.
I love it. All right.
Anyway.
Next up is David, 1,000-foot male appendage.
Amen, brother. I appreciate you keeping that PG. That was nice. There's a lot of families and children that are probably going to listen to this show, and
This is a Christian music podcast.
that was really thoughtful of you, Cullen.
You learn how to do that when you talk to high schoolers all day long.
Fair.
And you have an HM audience.
I just talk to myself all day long. 90% of my existence is just alone in my apartment with my computer, and my cat. So,
but it's not.
all
right.
we're doing 2, right? Was that the?
Just do one right now.
Okay.
Yeah, just one for now.
I'm gonna save my favorite one for last then, but
Okay.
the secondary one of the 2 that I have would be, hold on, The Season by All Get Out.
Oh, and All Get Out. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like they're like popular-ish, but like still like super underrated. When the last As Cities Burn album came out in maybe 2017, 2018, I don't know. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
It might have been 2019. I think it was actually before, like right before the world shut down. But they did a tour, and All Get Out opened up, and it massively flopped. Like I remember like Cody, like the singer from As Cities Burn, was like super pissed because like the promoters didn't like promote it, and like they would play like these like 500 cap rooms, and like literally there'd be like 20 people.
Yeah.
But All Get Out opened up on that tour, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I don't know how, but like I somehow discovered that album just on like the top songs on Spotify and started listening to it. And I think the thing that stuck out with me the most was like, I think at that point, like when I really started listening to it, I was like going through my divorce, or had like just gone through it, and was like starting to like experiment with like just being out in the world by myself, and like dating, and just like having relationships for the first time on my own, not even like romantic, just like relationships in general, like as a single person. Cause like I'd been literally like married for most of my adult life. And as I listened to this album, like they did such a good job, I felt like, with like communicating like relationship dynamics, whether it's just like interacting with your neighbor or like interacting with a loved one. Like there's like so many different songs about like heartbreak and just like being alone. And then also just like the music itself, like it's just like a roller coaster. Like there's crazy guitar parts and like yelling, and then there's calm stuff, and it just like it goes on a full adventure. So yeah, I really think that that's an underrated album and an underrated band. And yeah, like I think it's a great album.
Yeah, definitely all killer, no filler there.
Yeah, definitely all killer for sure.
Yeah.
I'm always happy when an open band is actually something I'm into. It's not the most common thing, unfortunately, but it works out once in a while.
Yeah.
The big one for me is The Dig. That was, I don't know if they're even around anymore, but yeah, that was before a Thrice show in Minneapolis one time.
The Dig?
Yeah. I think I heard them on like some coffee shop like playlist once in a while. It's like in the 2010s, but
let's check that out.
Sounds like a post-punk band or something.
It does kind of sound like a post-punk band. That's true.
they're kind of, they're like a rock band. They have like some like synths and stuff. I don't know. They're like a 2010s band. Is how I describe them.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think there's going to be a few 2010s bands on here. All right. The beautiful Kaylee.
Yeah, so I'm going to be surprised if anybody else really knows this band, but
all right, you're a hipster. We get it.
or just old. But
we already know about Mumford and Sons, Kaylee.
We also know about Taylor Swift.
I will admit, before we go on, there was a lot of Mumford and Sons chat in the group chat, and I was getting a little skeptical at everybody's musical tastes.
Yeah. That was that big day when a bunch of albums came out the same day, right?
Yeah.
You're not wrong, Cullen. I felt the same.
The true answer here is Family Force 5, obviously.
I was like, oh, she's being real here.
I was like, no way.
Like, okay, I could make an argument because it is the perfect cringe band. Like everything they do is cringe, and they nail it. But that's not what we're doing. So 2006, this band released their first full album, I Am Ghost, with the album Lover's Requiem. It is probably it's probably the best album that I've heard put together. It was kind of orchestrated by two people who have they have degrees in composing music. And so like the violinist on it actually composes orchestras with strings, right? Or is that
pieces? You could just say pieces, probably. Yeah.
But so like they wrote out very good violin parts. They have choir in it that are singing like this classical requiem type sounds that are like very Mozart like. But then the main music is this gothic punk where the lead singer has an operatic voice, but he's singing punk. The violinist, who is a woman, sings backup. And this entire album is a story of a vampire and an angel falling in love, but then they realize they can't be together, and then it ends with them separating. And
are there werewolves involved as well?
Don't remember if there's werewolves off the top of my head.
Any Edward Cullens involved?
No. This is like more underworld type vampire, not Stephanie Meyer vampire.
Makes sense. So I haven't heard these people, but is it Dream Theater-esque, less maybe guitar centric though?
It's I don't. It's
or is it just?
I'm not really. It's really kind of its own thing. They kind of did gothic punk very well. The people that kind of brought that around was Aiden, just a little bit before that, and I don't know. I Am Ghost was able to do it without grooming. Like, they didn't have to groom the with teenagers, so that's that's good on them. Aiden wasn't able to do that. Uh, but yeah, in it, like it does break the no fillers because there is a filler song. However, in my defense, it really plays into the whole like theme of it. So it's kind of filler, but like it builds up. They do this wonderful thing of switching between 4/4 and 6/8. That is amazing. They use a lot of dissonance in some of their songs. It's so good. It's incredibly creative. The lyrics are creative. The music is so incredibly put together. I would say it's a perfect album, and the ending of it is probably the best, one of the best endings to an album, because it's just an outro that's in 6/8 time. You got the double bass going and the violin, and I think they had a cello in it, but then this opera in the background, and it's great. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It sounds like a pure smorgasbord. I love it. I'm in. I wanna hear I Am Ghost. Had anyone else?
And if you need any more reason to listen to them, Cullen, they did tour with the Chariot back in, looks like about.
They did.
What?
They did.
What?
And they toured with Escape the Fate back when Ronnie Radke was in it.
All right. Well, I'm in. I'm gonna go check them out. Has anyone else
the
heard them?
allegations. How did they
I have not,
escape
but
Ronnie Radke and then the Aiden guy? Holy cow!
I've heard of them.
I'm
but
always-
I
mean-
can't say anything.
I'm always big on bands that aren't just bass, guitar, drums, vocals. So that's always interesting to me. I
And
remember going to Life Flight back in the day and just like watching like 8 bands of that in a row in the afternoon. Like, sold out stage.
Oh my! So there's a band called She Her Hers, and they have a song called Kill the Boy Band, and it's, in the second verse, it's like, damn it, it's so late and I'm tired. Basically, saying, if your band is all white cis white guys, you might as well play country, because they all sound the same.
This is true.
Very much.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right. My record is one that I don't think any of our listeners ever would have imagined I listened to. I think that this record is one that is for everybody. It's the most accessible record I've ever heard, but never falls into the gimmicky, never falls into the hokey or cheesy or lame territory. And it
Teenage
is
Dream by Katy Perry.
It is Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. No, it is Tourist History by Two Door Cinema Club.
I did know this about you.
I don't know what it is about this record. They haven't made anything else that comes anywhere near this kind of musicianship, in my opinion. They've had a few songs here and there on their other records, but this one in particular, through and through, every single song is so good. It's danceable, it's listenable, it's chantable. They've got tunes that you are going to want to sing as if you are in an arena, with 1,000 other people, or if you are, or 10,000 other people, I should say, or if you are, just hanging out, chilling on the couch and just listening to music. It also works for that. It is lightning in a bottle kind of an album. And whenever I think of the perfect album, it is the first album that comes to my head every single time, for good reason, I think. I don't have much else to say about it other than that I never heard anyone really match the sounds that they created on this record. There's not a note out of place, and they suck live. I'll say that. I've seen live footage of them doing this record live, and it's not good. But on the record itself, it's fantastic. Maybe they've gotten better as time has gone on. I know that this was like their debut album and stuff like that. So It's
Was there a big one from that album? I remember listening to it. I think a little
there,
bit.
yeah. There's a bunch of them. Cigarettes in the Theater, Undercover Martin. Do you want it all?
I felt like was
There was a
big.
whole.
That might be the one.
There's a
I'd have
whole
to
bunch of them.
I think I listened to it at the time, and then probably lost it in a switching from Spotify to Apple Music kind of thing or something. I don't know, but
It's one of those strange groups that like they kind of like reached the zeitgeist and like people had at least heard of them, but they like quickly faded from memory almost immediately. But it doesn't matter what audience I play it to. Like if I played it like at Thanksgiving, everyone in the room would be happy that I was playing it. If I was playing it in my classroom, everyone would be happy that I was playing it. If I was playing it in a group full of gruff bikers, they would all be happy I was playing it. It is the most accessible music I have ever seen, and it never falls into the typical pitfalls of accessible music of being hokey or cheesy or corny or whatever. So
Yeah, they kind of nailed this ability to be poppy enough for people that only like pop music.
Right.
And then there is something about their sound that is indie and hipster and cool enough to, appease that audience as well.
Yeah.
And they just like nailed that, like whatever that fine line is, they nailed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Especially in this album.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they have a couple other songs here and there, but that's it. Good. All right,
they kind of
Mason.
occupy the same space in my brain.
Say that
I
again.
think they kind of occupy the same space in my head as like Passion Pit. Is that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect call. Yeah.
I think it's like same time frame, same sort of.
Or even
vibe.
like Glass Animals or Neon
Washed Out.
Trees. The Washed Out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a lot like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Washed Out. Yeah. If they're anything like that, then they were a big fan of, or a big one of mine too.
Yeah. All right, Mace.
All right, another album that I don't think most people in my life know that I listen to on the regular, but
Shania
I
Twain.
just I wish. Oh my god. But still an album that I remember when it came out. Again, I think this album came out in 2019, so around the time that the Birds in Row album came out. But this album, as soon as it came out, and it was an artist I had never really listened to outside of her like full band, but it's her solo project. But I had never really listened to her much. And then this album came out, and I was like, this just it is incredible musicianship. And so the album is called Jamie, and the artist is Brittany Howard, who is in a band called Alabama Shakes.
Hell to the fucking yes. God
which
damn,
she's probably most famous for Alabama Shakes. But her solo album, Jamie, I don't know if she's had a solo album since then.
I don't think
I
so,
could be
no.
wrong. Don't quote me on that. But this album has such a diverse range of genres going on. Like she'll have like a hip hop song, she'll have like a country song, she'll have a jazz funk song. I mean, just like it's a whole range of different genres, and the whole album is really about her struggle navigating identity around being like a biracial woman growing up in Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's like fascinating. It's just really well done. I just think her musicianship, I mean, obviously she just has an incredible voice, but just everything about the album is really, really well done. And I think it's only like 10, maybe even 9 songs. It could be as short as 9
it's
songs.
a short
It's not that long of an album. I mean, it's just over 30 minutes. I mean, it almost feels as short as like a punk album. But because of that, it just like you get through the entire album so quickly that you're almost wanting more. And I think that's a really good indication that it's a perfect album. Is like you get done with it so soon, and you're like, wait, like I wish there was more of this sound.
Again.
And that's exactly what this album does for me. So I think it's just an incredible album. And again, I just don't think most people would assume that I'm a huge Brittany Howard fan, but I just think she's incredible.
Yeah, and her new alternative music or heavy music foray is one of my most anticipated things.
I've been
Holy
watching those live
fuck.
videos. I don't think there's been
God
any like
damn.
studio recordings yet that have been released yet.
Yeah.
But the live videos of her screaming is
Oh my
absolutely
heavens.
insane, and I'm so excited for this hardcore project.
Yeah. Has anyone else here heard it?
What is it called again?
I don't remember the band
I
name.
don't remember either.
But
Was that in the group chat a long time ago? I think.
probably
familiar.
I am so stoked about this. Like it's The band is called what is it called? Kumite.
Yeah.
Kumite.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should definitely get them at Furnace Fest next year, or even Alabama Shakes. That'd be a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, her scream is
hometown.
pretty unbelievable. So anyway, Jamie, Brittany Howard, I think it's a perfect album.
Great call. Great call. Ryan.
This next one is one I was introduced to doing VBS over the summer a couple of years back when I was in college going to a Bible school by my friend Owen that I met Cullen through.
Yeah, go
And,
Owen.
Yeah, if he's listening, shout out to Owen.
Just saw him yesterday.
Nice. Oh, a track?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. How's the track season going
It's been good.
for y'all?
It's been great.
Good deal.
Fantastic.
So I think this was in Illinois maybe when we were listening to this, but yeah, I'd heard the whole EP before this, and I'd liked it. And this is back when CDs were the main deal, so I didn't had a chance to listen to everything else yet. There wasn't streaming and easily accessible stuff, but yeah, this isn't probably the biggest one that people know by this band, but it's my favorite. I like the other one too, but this is "It's Hard to Find a Friend" by Pedro the Lion.
Oh, hell yes.
So I like Control just as much as everybody else too, but this one's got a real special place. So from that time especially, but so yeah, I talked earlier about not being a huge lyrics person, but yeah, this one's definitely a lot about the lyrics.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, he talks about stories a lot. He's very descriptive in his songwriting a lot of the time. Sometimes the stories are personal to him. Sometimes they're just stories of things that he thought about and maybe to whatever came into his head. But especially they're heavy, they're relatable, they're super funny, sarcastic. I mean, there's a song on here about like women shaving their legs, which he did play live quite a bit after he wasn't playing much from this album. There's a lot of lyrical content. So. But yeah, especially like Bad Diary Days is pretty devastating. It's about like someone with an unfaithful partner and has a killer guitar outro. It's just the best. So, and a song earlier on the album called Big Trucks, which is just sort of like being young and dumb and not really understanding like what it's like to becoming an older man and having your dad kind of explain things a little bit to you about like this is what it's like. This is you don't flip off the guys in the trucks and they get in your way, kind of stuff. So. And yeah, especially towards the end of the album, there's a song called "The Bells," kind of basically just a prayer, like from a young man. It was relatable for me at the time, and even today too. So
yeah. And
then also "The Secret of the Easy Yoke," which I was probably about the same age, I suppose, as Dave. Like when I heard this album about 10 years after it came out, this he was when he wrote it. But yeah, I was probably in the similar place too, like starting to kind of feel pretty out of step with Christianity in America, and just pretty, I don't know, jaded by a lot of the people I knew and experiences I had, and hypocrisy and all that usual stuff. So. And infamously after this, Dave, obviously renounced his faith, and I kind of figured I'd never hear most of this album live. But in 2023, I got to go see him up in the cities, and he played this album and Control at the same time.
Yeah.
And I got to go with Owen, so kind of brought everything all full circle.
Yeah, I'm bummed you guys didn't invite me. That feels like a real stab in the heart. Not gonna lie.
It's a public event. I mean, you're welcome.
That's true. That's true. But when my friends don't invite me, it hurts.
Sure.
You know how it goes. No, I 100% agree that is the definition of a perfect album, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it is the lyrics that pull it all together. It is so relatable, so folksy in so many ways. And I feel like that's kind of becoming a lost art. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say on that, but I feel like that folksy, relatable kind of content in terms of lyrical style is really becoming extinct.
I was gonna say I put not that album but Phoenix by Dave Bazan as an honorable mention, and I feel like it had some sleepers though. It's just so slow you like fall asleep a little bit, but like aside from those, like the storytelling is just like absolutely bananas. Like
especially in those new ones where there's sort of stories like from different times of his life, like living in different places growing up. It's a really cool idea. I love it. Yeah.
I would say I don't know that it's necessarily a dying art. I mean, there's the guy I found on Instagram, Jesse Wells, who writes all sorts of folk music, in the vein of like protest folk music.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
That is a dying art. I don't care what anyone says. True protest music is dying.
It's really good.
I don't know. If there's ever a time, it's right now. So I'm sure we'll be getting lots of that, if nothing else. So.
I hope to God that we do. Yeah. I want to hear some tariff protest songs. God damn.
All right, who's next?
All right, we're on to Tim.
Okay. Oh God. I was really sad when you said no soundtracks, because this would have been Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace soundtrack.
Duel of the Fates.
I am fully on board with you, but yes, no,
Yes,
I love the Episode 1 soundtrack, dude. I listen to it all the time.
I would fall asleep to it. Wake up to the Duel of the Fates. Yeah, so this one for me, I think it's Of Man by Cool Hand Luke.
Heck yeah.
That's a
Whoa,
That's
that's
a name that
left
I
field.
Album.
That's left field. Holy cow.
Perfect album. 100%. Yeah.
I
it's
love
just-
you right now.
It's
that's
just
a
like,
band I've not heard of in so long.
yeah. Yeah.
I've been
And
trying to get them on the podcast forever because
you only
I
have
think
one person to track down, really, at this
it's
point,
been
right?
so hard. I've gotten a hold of him, but then we like lose contact. I don't know. Anyways, I 100% agree. Perfect album.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. I don't
And it's
wanna cut
yeah,
you
so
off.
it's definitely a very like from the foundation, it's a very religious album, right? It is essentially Lent / Passion Week stuff, Christianity, like through and through. What I love about it is like you can tell it's the last, really, in my opinion, it's really the last Cool Hand Luke album. I know he released Cora afterwards a few years later, but this feels like everything that Cool Hand Luke got distilled and put into this. He had lots of like guests come in, guitars and all. I think there's somebody from Under Oath or somebody on guitars, Under Oath and Norma Jean, I can't remember, but just like such good stuff. There's all this emotion, there's these highs, lows. It just really takes you on, like, talking about albums that you listen from front to back. Like, that's definitely one, because it's a story beginning to end. And also, the Chariot length, because apparently that's what we're doing. Mark Nix played drums in the Chariot for a little bit, and then left. So yeah, but I love this album. It is definitely not one I listen to all the time, but there are parts of the year where it's like, this gets heavy rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me too. I definitely check it out a few times, usually this time of year. I think when we were talking about it a few weeks ago, I definitely listened to it later that day at work, and I really like the kind of the callbacks, like to other albums, and other songs that he did, especially what is it, the Silver, or no, whichever one that goes back to like the Incomprehensible Sleep from the Sleeping House. That's probably my favorite Cool Hand Luke song. I
Like
think.
Up, Sleeper, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there's like there's like the lyrics about Wake Up, O Sleeper, and there's like the Soli Deo Gloria. I think that's like a hidden track. It's like one of those, like, you rewind the album from the beginning back to.
It's the very last. It's the very last track on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that album, but October is the month that I listen to that. It for me, it feels like it fits that season so well. Maybe some of you guys have the same experience, but there's some albums that certain time of the year comes around, a certain crisp in the air, or maybe warmth in the air, you name it, you all of a sudden are taken back immediately to a certain time and place. And I remember listening to that album while I was walking my dog, and I just kept going further and further and further because I had to keep listening to the album. And I probably listened to it 7 times in a row. I'm not over exaggerating with that, just because I was just taking it all in. And of course it was a crisp fall evening, and it turned into a very cold fall night, and my hands were freezing. I had my disc Walkman, the good old days, holding it like this, and that record definitely holds a core memory part of me. Also, I remember hearing this story that there was like a tour that they went on in which, for most of the tour, they did not face the crowd the entire time.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Turned their backs, all of them turned their backs to the crowd, because they were quite serious about the art of it, the message of it, and being convicted by something like that is I think that's high art, first of all, and I also think it's very commendable. So, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Gosh, what an album.
Yeah, for me, the track that I love / hate the most is His Eyes. So that's the one where it's sort of like this build, and there's like, thematically there's like crucifixion, and like you get to that point, and there's just like they bring sort of the screams, but they're way better at this point in their career. Like from where they started, it was like, this is hard to listen to. This scream's hard to listen to.
Production wasn't great on some of those early stuff. Yeah.
And he could barely sing. He was really learning. But like here, it's just like everything is perfect, and you just feel like you viscerally feel like what he's describing in that moment, which was just good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That is a deep, cutting album for sure. All right, we better keep moving. David.
All right, so my other, my top, what I feel is actually a perfect album, and I exposed it in our group chat, but I still kept it, is Lament by Touche Amore. It's on the cusp of the 5 years. Yes. It came out in 2020, but it is just such an insane fucking record. And I have a lot of reasons. Well, I guess I should backtrack to say that I don't even know how I found out about Touche Amore. They'd been around for ages before that, but I never listened to any of their music. I can't remember how I discovered that album, but I remember coming across it when it came out in 2020, and it just absolutely just destroying me. It's kind of funny because it's just you're just a straight white dude. What kind of problems can you have? And I honestly don't know if I step back and look at outside album. I don't think that guy has many problems, but he convinces you that life is just extremely painful. But there's also amongst it, there's a song where in the chorus he says I need reminders of the love that I have, and I think that's just such a human thing. Sometimes we all just need to be reminded that we're loved and others love us and that they're there. And two other things that stuck out. Well, there's three things. Andy from Manjo's Orchestra, he has guest vocals on that, which I would have never really thought about, but it works perfect. And he must have an affinity for hardcore music, because a couple years later, he appears on Every Time I Die's last album, which again feels out of left field, but it also just makes sense and is perfect. So that was a really cool thing, because you're not really expecting that. And then also, again, just that whole thing of loss, but also being clever. His previous album, that I never really got into, but I've heard in interviews, was about his mom passing away, I think from cancer. And the album comes out in 2020, and he talks about how he's lost more family members to the GOP than cancer. But he just subtly slips it in there. It's just it's not he's not screaming or anything. He just literally just subtly slips it in there, and you're almost wait, what did you say? And you have to go back and listen to it. And I just think the subtle nature of something so large like that, after you had actual devastation of losing one of your best friends and family members, it's just so wild to me. And then to kind of tie it all up, he ends it singing, which that guy is not a singer. He shouldn't be, in my opinion, he shouldn't be singing. He's a screamer. His voice when he sings is not good, but he just fucking goes out on a limb and does it, and it's beautiful. And he has piano playing. There's this whole piano ballad, which you don't expect for a hardcore album, and then it ends on a total high note of him just kind of losing it with a bunch of energy again. And so I just don't think that you would expect that. So that is why that, I think, is a perfect album. It's just a beautiful roller coaster.
Yeah, I had that one on my list. That album, I cannot be in a public place if I listen to that album.
Yeah, because you cry.
It for real.
I forgot the other thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, finish what you're saying, but I'll remember.
Okay. I had a moment where I was mowing the lawn, and I was I want to listen to some Touche Amore, and I might have had a few Miller Lights, and I have 4 acres of grass to mow in my yard because I have a huge yard, and I had to stop for 2 hours. I literally was just like sitting there frying on the mower, just bawling my eyes out because I was going through an extremely rough time in my life, and I thought I was gonna die in that moment because that album had hit me so fucking hard, and I have to, like I said, I have to be very, very careful where I'm at when I put that song on. I was listening to it literally last week as I was driving to school, and I had a friend of mine who was, kind of spilling his guts, and he was, kind of on the edge of life, and I shared that exact song that you brought up, where it says, I need reminders of the love I had. I need reminders, good or bad. And I shared that song with him, and he's like, dude, this literally has like snapped me back into reality, and that there is plenty of people here that love me, and that I need to just remember. I need to remember that I'm not alone in this life, and that I'm not alone in this world. And shit, man, like I got to school and I literally was like slapping myself in the face because I was like, I need to, like, prepare for the day. But like, there's not a lot of albums that have affected me like that album. If we're talking about influential albums, that's an album that is easily probably, I think it's probably the most influential, maybe other than what I'm going to have next here. So,
yeah, I was going to say, well, 2 things. It's funny. I'm just imagining like your students coming in, they're like, why are you crying? You're like, I listened to the Touche Amore record.
They're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Not again. Not again, Cullen. Not again.
And then the thing that you reminded me of.
It's first period, Cullen.
Yeah, literally.
Mr. Mac.
Or excuse me, Mr. Mac. Yeah, Mr. Mac. Yeah.
The thing that you reminded me of as you were talking that I forgot was another thing that makes that record great and very sad, but also like beautifully human, is he doesn't say it exactly, but he mentions in maybe the last song about how he wrote a whole entire record about like the worst time of his life, and he was like, but no one asked me, like, or asked me now, like, how I'm doing. Even some of you that are profiting off of this current album. And you're just like, the fuck? Like, I was like, oh my God. Like,
completely breaks the fourth wall in the music world. That never happens.
Like, I was just like, he could be talking about like his like label mate, or like the people on his label, like the people in his band, like he could be talking about like anyone like that, like are actually a part of this. And I was just like, this is horrible. Like, this is
the saddest diss track ever.
Yeah, like it's just so sad. Like, and I don't think I caught that until listening to it this last time, and I was just like, God, like, I don't know. It kind of made me sad, I think, more than anything. Like, because I was just like, man, I hope you talked with like someone about this, like more than just like it being on the record. Like, I hope you did like actually reconcile those things.
He needs a Tim.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That song in particular you guys were talking about, like that live, I got to see it at the end of last year. They came through, and like I'm pretty sure people were crying as they were yelling and like running into each other. Just like so good. Also, he's also a poet.
Yeah.
Like if you've not read his poetry, you really should. It's just it'll rip your heart out too.
Do you know how
right?
do you know how much he has? Is it just that December one, or is there
there's
more?
a few of them. This is the one that I was able to snag when it was just so good.
I've definitely heard of the band for a long time. I think they were very closely associated with me, that you like genre wise at least for a long time.
Yeah, he guests with them.
Yeah, never got around to listening to them, but I have a little bit now, like lately. And then actually my biggest touch with him is I think his podcast, the first ever podcast he started doing during COVID. That's been really good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Podcast is sick for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I listened to that album the day after you guys were talking about it, and I really liked it. Especially the song with Andy Hull. I'm a big Manchester fan.
Oh yeah. All right, Kaylee, you're up.
So I think I said this on the group chat, and you probably didn't take me serious, and also this is such a weird thing to go after that discussion. Sub Seven's Free to Conquer. I'm
Hell
gonna
yeah.
say perfect album for what it was. 35 minutes long, 10 tracks. But it came out at a time whenever like emo was hitting mainstream and like Christianity sucked at doing emo music. And they just kind of came on and did their own thing and created such a unique sound that it really defined the fact that you could actually just make good music instead of trying to be whatever is popular in the mainstream. And it had some build on it, like a really heavy track, which was really followed by a very slow soft track, and it ends on like honestly one of my like favorite like get hyped songs, which is Vampire. And it's it's just such a good album for the time, and it was incredibly unique for what it was. So yeah, I'm gonna say that one's a favorite for mine, for me, and I'll listen to that still. It's just really good.
Banger after banger.
Didn't you have a pretty close connection with those guys?
I became friends with Wesley like way after the fact. I did a podcast with a college friend of mine. This is like before I came out and transitioned, and it just reached out to them and be like, "Hey, I would like to interview you if you're up to it." And then, yeah, Wesley and I started talking and becoming friends. And like, this is when I was like deconstruction from Christianity. And he kind of was too, but then he kind of had some stuff like fall apart in his life, which is different. But yeah, I kind of lost touch with him a little bit whenever I transitioned, which wasn't necessarily fair because he reached out to me and was cool about it. And yeah, so I'm realizing that I let that friendship that friendship kind of fell through because of me, not because of him. But yeah, but
Well,
Clint
is awesome too, by the way.
Oh, Clint's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad that he came on the podcast, and actually surprisingly. So what I've always found interesting, and this is kind of a side tangent, but we've had Brian Head Welch on here, and we've had Dave the Snake Sabo from Skid Row. You know what? You want to know what episode has outdone both those people? Sub 7.
Yeah.
There's a good reason for it.
I believe
because
it.
It's they've made records that mean a lot to people, and Free to Conquer is a perfect album, 100% through and through.
Yeah.
Agree. Totally.
10 tracks of greatness. Yeah, every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was one
really...
I stole that one from my youth group room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that album. There are not that many bands where they've only released one full length album, and it's just like an incredible album. But that's one of those few bands out in the world that have only released one album, and it's a great album. New Radicals is probably actually one of the other ones, but like honestly, there's not too many.
Or just the one.
Failure on.
Is that whole album good?
Yeah, Failure On is up there. Ryan, what are you saying?
New Radicals. I guess I didn't realize there was anything else on that album besides "You Get What You Give."
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of those songs. But yeah, I mean, there are not too many bands where they only have one full length, and it's just an actual banger of an album. And Sub 7's Free to Conquer is one of them.
The EP is great too, and then there's a couple like different versions, like slightly from that, and like those are it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have something else to add there, Kaylee? Sound like
I was just gonna say they're a band that a lot of people love, but also it's not a band that comes up very often on like one of my favorite bands. But whenever you bring it up, there's a lot of people. They're like, "Oh yeah, Sub 7. I love that band."
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree. All right, my turn. This one also kind of out of left field, mainly because I get very tired of the lead vocalist here. And our friend David actually just took some beautiful photographs of this guy trying to jump into a recycling bin. Fiction Family. Not
I forgot
Switchfoot.
about that.
Fiction Family, their self-titled album blew my mind. I did not know that folky songwriter type music could be that good, and that they could nail it that well through and through. Their second album, I think it's called Reunion or something like that.
That sounds right.
It's not nearly as good. The original one, I have it on vinyl. I have it signed. I think that it is a perfect record through and through. I had a very bad breakup when I was in high school, and that album was what got me through it, and it was beautiful. I probably don't survive without that album. I think it's one of those that it reaches into your soul, and but at the same time, it's not like taking itself too seriously either. It's very serious, but also very. It's almost like a father or like an authority figure in your life that you actually trust is
Daddy?
talking to. Maybe not daddy.
John Foreman is
Mason.
not a daddy. I don't know about the other guy.
Yeah, Sean Watkins
band is-
from Nickel Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what band is he from? I thought it was like something kind of like bluegrassy or.
Yeah, I think they were a Grammy either nominated or winning bluegrass
like-
music. Yeah.
It's like a sister's in the band too, right? Sarah, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting duo. Two guys you would never imagine, playing together, and their mixture is just, it's potent and it works well, and I'm here for it. And I think that anyone who listens to that record will definitely feel what I'm talking about, especially the dueling acoustics that they put together. You get some very, very interesting melodies that I've never heard from any other band ever, or not band, but duo, I guess. And then yeah.
Did they both sing on the same track very much on that album? I haven't listened.
Yeah,
to it in a
so
while.
they would usually back each other up. What I like about it is it's basically the blueprint that everyone uses today. They were doing back in 2010 when that album came out. So
It's been a while.
So the blueprint of hey, I live halfway across the country, you live halfway across the country. Let's just drop box a whole bunch of ideas back and forth to each other till we come up with an album. That's essentially what they did.
Or send it through the postal service.
Yeah,
the postal service
or
did.
send it through the postal service. But they that's how they did it. They just Dropboxed a whole bunch of kind of ideas back and forth to each other until they had a full album. And they're like, well, I guess we got to release it. And it's a perfect album.
Yeah.
Through and through. There's not a single filler song in there. So
I've got a couple of tracks saved. I don't think I have the whole thing. I'll have to check the whole thing out again.
yeah, you definitely should.
I need to go back and listen to it now. I haven't listened to it probably since it came out. I may have listened to a couple tracks since then over the last 20 years or however long it's been. But
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I mostly remember the first track though, When She's Near, and then the third one that's I'm not sure that I'll Get Over You or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Elements Combined is my favorite one, and I think that one definitely makes you feel what love is like, or new love is like, I guess. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely the first track too.
Yeah. Good. All right, Mason, final record.
Oh, we're gonna go through.
Let's go to a third. Why not? This is fun. I hope you guys are having fun. If you're not having fun, just say I'm not having fun, and we can stop now.
I don't know if I have a third record. I just have honorable mentions.
Well, then just
There you go.
throw one of your honorable mentions in there.
All
for your
right,
third
sounds
record.
good.
Yeah.
All right, this is an album that has been mentioned a few times as an influential album, but it truly is one of the top albums that I listen to just really consistently. And again, it's a no skip album. I think it's perfect. I think it's also I often talk about in the podcast, there's a difference between your favorite album, a band's most influential album, and their best album. And this is one of those bands, and
Can I guess?
I truly believe that this is this band's best album.
Can I guess?
It's not their most influential, and it's not my favorite.
Can I
But,
guess, please? Can I guess?
I have a guess too.
It's
First
Ryan
of all-
K.
Go ahead.
Is it a Radiohead album?
Yes.
I was gonna say Sigur Rós.
Okay, so this is always the part where I'm not sure where you're thinking at it. Is it Kid A?
It is Kid A. Yeah! It is Kid A.
You're
Ryan,
my best friend.
The reason why I'm not going to say Sigur Rós is because Sigur Rós, probably Valtari, is truly like an influence. Like, I would put it in my top 5. And I
Gotcha,
just
yeah.
like, I feel like I can't put them in there right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Radiohead's Kid A, just an absolutely stunning album through and through, from the very beginning to the very end. It's just truly an unbelievable album. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just absolutely incredible album. This is an album that I never really got into Radiohead until probably college for me. So this would have been like way after Radiohead even became really a big deal.
Actually,
Like,
I remember when you got into Radiohead because we were
Yeah,
driving.
I mean, I was like,
we were
I was
driving
going
around.
through girl issues and all of that. Yeah.
We were driving around to my Grand Am, and we were at Walmart, and then I put in Rainbows, and you're like, "What is this?" I was like, "This is Radiohead." You're like, "This is Radiohead," and you did like that whole like Mason, I'm in a wonderment kind of like face, which I love because it's very nostalgic for me, and I still get to see it every once in a while. And
It's fun.
you're like, this is actually really good. This is really, really good. It made me
Yeah,
happy.
I didn't realize that Radiohead was anything beyond creep. So, I immediately got into Radiohead. I was going through like some girl issues in college, and I just would listen to this album all the time. And here I am now.
Yeah, that was a big college one for me too.
Now
for sure.
I'm like now Kid A is just one of, I think, truly a perfect album.
Yeah, I think it's their only full like no killer or all killer no filler album. I think there's a lot of skippable stuff on most of the other albums.
Yeah,
for
I
me
agree.
personally.
I agree. I think
I was gonna.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was gonna bring them up maybe when you're talking about the Beatles. Like I think they're kind of in the same place. Like where they're just so experimental and so influential. But like there's hits and misses. At least for me, Sufjan Stevens kind of the same deal. His albums are just too long.
Yeah, I think Kid A and In Rainbows are both two records that there's no skips on it. Right? It's all killer no filler. And
I don't love the middle of In Rainbows as much. Like kind of after the first couple tracks and then until Reckoner.
Oh,
But
okay.
That's just me.
I got you.
But and yeah, OK Computer's up there too. But yeah, nothing. An album with Fit or Happier is not a perfect album.
Yeah, I agree. What's interesting is my college, my final year of throwing for SDSU in track, go-to warm-up song was always Everything in Its Right Place. And
Yeah.
there's something about that warbly kind of, not synth, what is it? Not
Is that like the
Wurlitzer.
Ons? Is like the Ons Martineau or something like that? It's like some weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that Johnny Greenwood played. It's some weird like thing that breaks down all the time when they try to use it live.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
yeah,
That
whatever
might be
that
a
is.
different song too.
I
There's a
can't-
lot of weird stuff on that album.
I can't remember the name of what it is, but for some reason that always put me in like the perfect groove for
Yeah.
getting warmed up, and it like always like raised my testosterone or something. I don't know. It got me going.
Yeah.
It got me ready to compete. Which is the weirdest song to get warmed up
It's your
to.
thunderstruck. It's your thunderstruck.
That's my
or,
thunderstruck. Well, actually, you know what's funny? We had a track meet yesterday, and one of my high schoolers was literally listening to the Chicago musical soundtrack when they were
not the
when
band,
they were warming
not-
up. I was like, "You're my kind of
not the-
person."
Not the band Chicago. I'd be just
No.
having some like Saturday in the Park or some.
He had it coming.
Or some 25 or 6 to 4. Yeah, get
Yeah,
pumped on
yeah.
some.
Oh, not the
25 to
band
64,
Chicago,
That's a
the
great
musical.
song.
Yeah, dude, I've sang that at karaoke a few times, and I had all the 50 and 60-year-old women saying, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh," it was great. All
Did
right.
you do a mashup with? Did you do a mashup with Green Day? What's the one? What song? What's the Green Day song that's like the same thing? is 25 or 6 to 4. Or else Led Zeppelin. There's a Led Zeppelin song too. Like
I don't
How
know.
Many More Times, I think.
Yeah, there is a Led Zeppelin song that does that.
I think it's
too.
How Many More Times. I think it's on the first album. But
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, you're up.
Yeah. K-Day was definitely one I was thinking about including too. But it's probably in my top 10. So let's see. Last one is someone I heard about. I think originally on NPR, like on All Songs Considered, or else one of their podcasts or something. But
Hold up, Ryan, you listen to NPR?
not much anymore. But I don't know. That was like I think that they used to do like a year-end thing of like the best music of the year. I like indie music a lot. I don't. Yeah, especially during the 2010s, I was not listening to a lot of heavy music besides maybe Def Heaven and like Converge.
Yeah.
I got into them in the 2010s.
They allow
but-
NPR in South Dakota?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
So-
thought Kristi Noem blocked it when she was governor.
No, she was busy out like flying everywhere, spending all her money.
She was busy sending the National Guard to the border.
She's just
And-
making sure that they are all
Sending
are
her
met.
dogs to the yard.
Yeah, good riddance, Kristi Noem. Anyway, that's one good thing that came out of November.
All right, hey,
2024.
real quick, just so that all our listeners know, my Sunday school teacher growing up is now the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Yeah, rocking the 50 grand Rolexes
Yeah,
down in
that's-
El Salvador.
That's right.
I mean, I feel like there's more stories to be named here. Like, you literally had me convinced that I was going to go to USF because you know the story, Cullen. Sitting
Because
at
of-
that buffet in Sioux Falls.
I just want you to say it.
No, you fucking say it, you asswipe.
Okay, really.
That's
quick,
This is my greatest claim to fame, honestly.
Really quick story. Really quick story. We were at the Royal Fork Buffet in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where they have liver and onions on the on the the warmer.
Well, tragically, they used to. They're not around anymore.
They don't exist anymore. I still have a bumper sticker that says "I love Royal Fork Buffet," and there was Mason was wearing a Chariot T-shirt. And
I was like a sophomore, I think.
yeah,
in high
I
school.
think you were a sophomore. And we had a waitress that came over and she gave us our sodas. And Mason got up to go to the bathroom or something. I don't remember exactly. And we were talking to the waitress, and then she left when Mason came back. And I said, "Dude, Mason, guess what? This girl is all about you because she thinks you're really cute and you're wearing a Chariot T-shirt and she's a massive Chariot fan." And he's like, "Really? Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh my gosh, dude, she's like the one for me. I'm going to USF because she goes to USF, right? And because we were talking about how she goes to USF, which is University of Sioux Falls, Christian college, private school.
Go Cougars.
Go Coug. And we had Mason on this track for, I don't know, an hour at
A
least.
girl had never been interested in me before.
Yeah. And I was like, "Dude, you should go get her number," and all this stuff. And yeah, we ended up having to let him down easy that this wasn't actually.
No, do you remember how you guys told me?
I don't remember what happened.
Okay, so
What did
we
I say?
finally, all right, we leave the restaurant. I'm like fully convinced this girl is like into me. We get into the car, and Cullen and our friend, they're like, they still keep going with the gag. And at some point, they're like, "We got her number." Like she like gave us her number to give to you, and they like pull out this napkin, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get this girl's number." And they give me this napkin, and instead of her number, it says, "Gotcha," and I like my heart sank. My
Oh,
heart
no.
sank.
Mason, I'm so sorry, man.
We were dicks. We
This
were.
is the same
Yeah.
guy that stole my Under Oath CD too. By
I
the way.
did see. I am the
Which
best
one?
and the worst friend at the exact same time, Mason. And I'm sorry, but also, yeah,
You're lucky I let you on my podcast.
He's loved you at your worst, Cullen.
Oh my gosh, this is why we're friends. I love it. This is good. All right.
Anyway, so yeah, back in my post office days, when I was looking for anything to listen to when I was delivering mail, especially at the end of the year, when it was some crazy days, they were talking about, I think the previous album before this one by Angel Olsen. This guy right here. This is an album afterwards called My Woman, and let me pull up my notes here. But yeah, there's some really good like grungy guitar stuff on the one before that. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Burn Your Fire for No Witness, if I recall. But this one's pretty instrumentally. It's pretty cool. It's all over the place. There's like some synths on the first track. I think that was the first track that released for it when it came out, and I remember just playing that over and over again. It's called Intern, and then she did some videos that were pretty cool too for this album as well. And but yeah, so like the closer on this one is just kind of a piano outro, like just kind of like piano and vocals. It's really haunting. Track 2 is like kind of like a Phil Spector, like Wall of Sound vibe. It's kind of like those girl groups from like the 60s. That's a pretty fun one too. But the big one for me on this album for sure is a song called Sister. It's right in the middle. It's like an 8-minute song that's kind of a vibe. And you kind of, yeah, it's like a good fall to sleep album, I think, for sure, too. I've done that a lot of the time. But what other thoughts I have? Yeah, there's a lot of like morose, kind of like suggestive, even like some horny lyrics, especially on the song. It's probably the most well known from this album. It's called Shut Up, Kiss Me. I think that was probably the big one from
Nice.
here.
It's about any girls that are going to USF that are really into the Chariot.
100%. Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, it's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of wistful feelings. Yeah, some great work, especially too on Woman. Yeah, some good guitar work. Yeah, I don't know what her band's like. I think she's got a pretty good crew of people, but yeah, I haven't seen her live. She's definitely on my bucket list to see live.
How'd you come across Angel Olsen? I've
never. I think it was
I've never heard it.
I think it was NPR.
NPR. Okay.
Yeah, I think I heard about her on like they have like the last they have like the Bob Boylan that had like the Tiny Desk concerts back in the day. I think he's retired now, but he would. They'd have people different on, like Lars Gotrek, that's been to Furnace Fest. I think he would be on that show then sometimes too. So I got
It was like right after Nancy Pelosi was talking or something.
This is a podcast.
Oh, never mind.
Oh gosh, that's
But
good.
no, I was in Washington D.C. I don't know 5-10 years ago, and I toured the NPR studios. I got to see the Tiny Desk, so that was a good time.
Is it actually tiny or is it pretty big?
It's pretty big. It's got a lot of crap on it. I saw an Emmy. I think he has like his Emmy just laying around with everything else too. And I think there was a Fuji water bottle that Adele drank out of that was still there. So, but
it's a tiny foot crutch.
Yeah. But yeah, great lyrics, great variety of musical genres on this one. So
Sick.
Check it out. Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, that sounds like a good record. All right, Tim.
What would you say if I told you Thousand Foot Crutch's first album? I'm not going to tell you that, but what would you say if I did?
I just watched a
I would say that it's
video.
called Set It Off.
It's your list, yo.
I just watched a video of one of Thousand Foot Crutch's first like live performances, and I did not know that they went so full Korn. Like,
Yeah,
like they
bit.
were,
KORN,
It
I'm
wasn't-
assuming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they even had like feel these like super loose string bass and everything like that. It was nuts.
There's some really good stuff on their first album. There's
Yes.
also some really not very good stuff on their first album.
That's why it's not my pick.
Probably the first. Yeah, the first Tooth and Nail BEC Solid State band I ever saw live was probably a mixture of them, and I think it was like FM Static and Falling Up and whoever else. I can't one more. It was in Brookings.
Oh,
Wait.
Did you see that same tour?
yeah.
Because FM Static was the same band as another band as Falling Up or as Thousand Foot Crutch. I think it's like
No,
some
it's Thousand Foot
guys.
Crutch. It
Yeah,
was Trevor and Steve from Thousand Foot Crutch
yeah, that was
in
at
FM Static.
the
Yeah.
Swiftdell Center in Brookings.
All
South
I
Dakota.
remember about FM Static was I saw their album cover and it was a dude with a half blonde, half black colored mohawk. And I was like, this ain't for me. I'm out.
You weren't cool enough.
The thing is, I loved FM Static too, but he sang songs about like teenage angst, and he was in his 30s, I think, with their last album, and that got a little
It
weird.
felt a little corporate.
Well, I mean, I remember seeing MXPX at Life Flight, like whatever in the 2000s, and thinking like these guys are like they're in their 30s, they're talking about high school and whatever, and
You
saw
know,
them at Furnace Fest in
Blink-182.
2023.
Yeah.
They're
I
like,
threw
Like,
a.
I'm having a great time listening to all these songs from Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo and life in general, and like even now that they're in their 50s and talking about high school still.
At that exact same show, Ryan, I threw a piece of pizza at the bassist, and it hit his bass. I nailed it, and
You
he
played
was
the bass?
pissed. I literally played the bass with MXPX while they were
Wow.
playing live.
With Tom, is Tom the bassist, I think. right?
Sure.
Cullen's listed as one of the touring members of MXPX.
I should be on the
Briefly,
Wikipedia.
Briefly toured.
I really should be on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I'll go update
I don't know.
that
I forgot. Sorry.
Also,
I looked up that concert. If
It-
Cutlass was the band, Cutlass was the headliner. I forgot about Cutlass. They
Yeah.
were the headliner.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It was a
Cutlass
piece
was
of
the
pizza.
biggest douche. Cutlass was the biggest band of douchebags ever.
100%.
they're called
In
Cutlass.
Christian-
How could they not
Yeah.
be?
Like
The name's a giveaway.
You must be a Ford guy, huh?
Oh my god.
Okay, like my actual third pick is a tie between two.
All right.
And I'll tell you the first one, and then it's not actually going to be that one. One is Five Iron Frenzy, 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh yeah.
I think it's their best album that they ever did is in terms of consistency, but I can't say it's actually a perfect album because if Reese even cared to hear this, he would be like, nothing we've done is ever perfect. It's terrible and horrible, and I would agree. Even though I love it. But not really. I love it, but it's not terrible. No, actually, I think it's probably the one I mentioned earlier, Failure You're On by Beloved. It's just, again, it's one I could sit down, like, you know, Cullen, like you were saying, like I could sit down and listen to that and have sat down and listen to it until my wife's like, turn that off. Turn it off. This is like the 5th time you've listened to it. I'm like, but it's just perfect. Just one of those albums where you just keep going. I think it's probably, when I first heard it, like it's probably the first album where I was like, wait, you can like do like radically different like sections and songs, and somehow you're like foreshadowing it earlier in the thing. It's just like it just stands up. I mean, there's a lot of music, a lot of post-hardcore emo music from the time when that came out that like does not stand up, right? That is very formulaic, and somehow, even though I don't know, like maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but definitely in like North Carolina, South Carolina, up in West Virginia, where I'm from originally, like North Carolina was where we went to hear music, and like they were creating something that was specific to this part of the country, and I was really sad that they only ever did one album because it was perfect.
Did you see them
Unbelievable
live back in
album.
the day? Or at Fringe
Death to
Fest?
Traders is still my favorite song of all time.
Yeah.
It has everything I love in music. It's got great emo stuff. It's got all the hardcore stuff, and at the very end, you got this really cool like post rock kind of thing going on.
Yep.
So, just like it, literally to me is like a perfect song.
Yeah.
Did you get to see them live back in the day or at Furnace Fest in 21?
I didn't get to see him at Furnace Fest because I got COVID the week of.
Oh man.
Yeah, but because I live in South Carolina, I just went up to the hometown shows and caught the second one, and it was amazing. Code 7 was amazing. It was just like amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reunion bands have done that to kind of warm up, or to kind of like while we're doing this, might as well do some other stuff too. I think like Training for Utopia did that, and
Yeah, they did it after Furnace Fest, which was amazing. So they were like,
Yeah.
whatever kinks they had to work out, they were gone because it was perfect. Yeah.
Nobody
cool.
has to work out their kinks. We don't kink shame.
Shake the dust off the kinks. There you go.
There you go, Mace. Good call.
Doing my best. All right, is it David that's next?
David Dog.
That's
Honorable
me.
mentions, Zach.
Okay, so I had a really hard time picking a third one, but if I would like gun to my head, if I had to pick something and someone's like, pick your
We
third,
can make
or
that
we
happen
just-
if you need.
What? Yeah,
We
or
can
we
make a
cap
gun to
you.
the head.
I would say "Drunk Like Bible Times" by Deer in the Headlights, and Deer and the Headlights. Sorry, have any of you guys heard of them?
I've not.
Incredible, absolutely amazing. That's exactly my point. Everyone shook their head.
Hold up.
no.
The band is called Bible Times?
No. So the album is Drunk Like Bible Times, and then
Drunk Like Bible Times.
yeah, and the band is Deer and the Headlights. They're from Arizona, and they did 2 records. If you go and look them up on Spotify, they have 60,000 monthly listeners, which devastates me because like that's a good chunk of people. And yeah, the singer just like quit at one point to go like work at Trader Joe's and sort out his demons. And like now I don't know that he does music at all, but it's just, I think there's a tie-in with like my other like records, is that it's just very human. Like he's just really good at storytelling, just talks about like life and like love and just everyday normal things. Like he a lot will like mention like friends' names, which has always been like super intriguing to me. Like I feel like it's kind of like what you said, where it almost like Cullen, where it almost like breaks the fourth wall, where I'm like, you're not supposed to be like directly like talking to like a person that we don't know, but like they're telling like a beautiful story that like just sounds great, and like there's something relatable about it. I think about like Fall Out Boy, like in their one of their first albums, they have that song that's just like, "Hey Chris, we love you back, like you were our only friend," and that's just like the chorus over and over, and you're like, who the fuck is Chris? But it's still just like amazing because they again just like kind of broke that fourth wall. So yeah, that's what I love about Deer in the Headlights. Only did 2 records, I think in 2007 and then in 2008. So it was like back to back. And then they just like, they got like kind of popular and they just fell off the face of the earth. Never did reunions, like literally never did like anything other than they released a double vinyl maybe like 5 or 6 years ago and I bought it. But other than that, just silence. They're great. Like, okay, and so the other thing that I would say is their first album is really good, the one that came out in 2007. But the reason I didn't pick that one was because it has some like slower songs, whereas like Drunk Like Bible Times, like the second album, like it's just like constant punch. So yeah, really, really good. I like it a lot.
Oh, their guitarist. Their guitarist is known for voicing the character Plucky, which is Ducky's little sister in the animated film The Land Before Time. So their guitarist was the voice for Plucky.
Amazing.
In Land Before Time.
Whoa.
I want. Oh, Cullen, you're silent. You're on mute. You're
Cullen,
yelling
you're
into the
muted.
void. Amazing. Two quick things is one, I would love if you found some members from this band and interviewed them, aka the singer, but I'll take anyone because I just don't understand. Like some of these songs have over 1 million plays. Like, and they're literally like the singer, I don't know what he's doing now, but for like several years, just like went and worked at Trader Joe's, which again, like nothing above that, but it's just like mind boggling. And then the other thing that I was going to say has nothing to do with music is I've been wondering this whole time, Mason, what are you drinking? Like I keep seeing your cup, and I'm
It's
like,
usually boxed wine. Is it boxed wine today?
No. It's some sort of orange liqueur and seltzer water.
nice. Okay, cool.
All right, I'm totally in. I got to check these guys out. This sounds amazing. Also, fantastic band name, Drunk Like Bible Times.
Album name.
Oh, that's the album name.
Yeah.
What's the band? What's the band name?
Deer and the Headlights. I'll put
Deer
it
and the
in
Headlights is the name of the band.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
That's a great name, no, too.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm putting the album in the chat there.
I love it. All right, Kaylee.
All right. The third one is so hard because there's so many bands or albums I want to put higher. Like, My Chemical Romance's Black Parade should be there, but they have a hidden track. So apparently, yeah. So what I'm going with is a band that I think that we all like, and they started strong, did okay, they peaked, and then I don't know what they've done since, but
No more Under Oath albums. Come on now.
no, not Under Oath.
I was gonna say, please don't say Under Oath, or I'm just gonna fucking leave. Like I'm gonna be furious you shit on Under Oath.
Under Oath doesn't have a perfect album. sorry, that'll probably get me not invited back. But
I agree.
yeah, Emery has a perfect album. We Do What We Want, and that's their best album. Cullen is giving me like a big response right here.
I agree 100%. I think it is their best album too, and
It's
one wants
100%
to
their
acknowledge
best
that.
album. Yeah, it's so good. It starts off heavy. It does their classic like screaming and soft singing in songs. It has an amazing ending it's a tearjerker. It's good all around. It's everything that you like about Emery finally put into one album, and then they never do that again. So
Yeah.
It was like the only one without Devin, right?
yeah, it was without Devin.
Yeah, which is kind of funny.
It's interesting because I would actually say that the one that's probably closer to perfect is In Shallow Seas We Sail. But I do think that We Do What We Want is the most influential one. Mainly because they broke a whole bunch of barriers. And I don't think... I think hindsight being 2020, a lot of us maybe forget about this, but they put the Bible on the front and it said, we do what we want. And they cussed on that album and they went extra heavy, especially with like scissors and stuff like that. And people were really, really turned off by that album. And they burned a ton of bridges with a lot of their listeners. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's honestly a great album, and the music's good, the songwriting is good, but also like so many bands do tend to get softer, and they kind of seem like that they were, but then they just come back and like start with the shoveled glass, and it's just right there. Like so part of the perfectness is the fact that they have a longer history, and to just start off super hard, like giving you almost that reminiscent of the first time you listen to The Week's End whenever Walls starts, where it's just right in your face and then it backs off. It's an amazing album. It's a great album, and I don't think that there's any song on there that falls flat.
In Shallow Seas is great, I think.
I think In Shallow Seas We Sail is fantastic, especially lyrically. I think that's like one of their strongest. But the punches that they were willing to not pull for We Do What We Want is, I think to this day, it's one of the most groundbreaking Christian albums out there, because it really did. They proved exactly what the album cover said. We do what we want. We're not
Well,
gonna.
wasn't it like literally the next album they had the woman that was like naked?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eve. Yeah,
And that one even
Was
pissed
that the
people
next
off even
album?
more.
God,
Yeah,
was
that's
a
the
good
next
album.
album.
You Were Never Alone was in between.
Yeah,
You
You
Were
Were
Never
Never
Alone.
Alone.
And
And
then Eve.
that record's fantastic too. That one's like
Yes.
all like Bible stories, but from like a modern perspective. That one's a fantastic album too. But yeah, they had a good string of 3 there that I think were top notch.
Rest in peace, Bad Christian.
That one's a very good record. That's their strongest of the most recent 3, I think, for sure. So, all right, final one. I'll finish this off here. Norma Jean, The Anti-Mother. I think that this record is Norma Jean's most perfect record. It's not my favorite. Mason thinks I hate it, which is hilarious because I said that when it first came out, I was a little skeptical on it.
I
But
just remember
think-
you hated the finisher.
I hated the finisher initially, and then as time went on, I loved it more and more and more and more. But it was only because they did the bee swarm sound for a little too long, you know? But that's one that has a hidden track that actually is a real track, you know? It's a good one. It's a great one. And it's right at the end of that bee swarm, which is fantastic. what I love about it most is that they went all over the place. I mean, you had Chino Moreno with heavy influence. You had 3 full guitars, really, really dialing it in. And you have the guitarist from Helmet, Paige Hamilton, who is known for pretty much creating like the perfect guitar sound, like the perfect guitar tone, I should say. And his influence is obvious on this record too, because he was pretty influential, and he was in the studio with it as well. The record just it doesn't let up. It feels less heavy than the influence is obvious on this record too, because he was pretty also heavier at the same time. It's an enigma. But what's wild though is it's one of those records where you kind of forget just how good every song is on there. And they never play hardly any songs from that record live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you all want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I
Have
thought
you got anything to plug?
we had an announcement for like a company that I'm working on. My mom isn't going to be a big fan of this, but I've been working on flavored herpes cream, so you can use it with your partner in bed. You cover up like the illness, and it makes it more like palatable and approachable. And I've got investors. Jeff Bezos is backing it. We're getting Tiger King to do the marketing and the commercial. It's going to be really incredible. Like what'd you say? Yeah, he's in prison, but like there's a really like high rate of herpes right now, especially in the prison system. So we figured we'd start there. Like we want everyone to be able to use this.
I heard nursing homes are your like prime
Yeah,
market.
that's going to be the next one, but I need to find a famous person in a nursing home.
Bromley, yes.
So if any of you guys would like to try it, write some reviews. There's a bunch of different flavors. We've got cherry, bubblegum.
I thought it tasted like herpes.
No. It's meant to make the herpes palatable. So you can still have intercourse during outbreaks.
You said herpes flavored. I thought it meant it was going to taste like herpes.
Sorry. Flavored herpes cream.
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know because I use the cream. And so when I'm with my partners who have herpes, all I can taste is
You ever had a little
bubblegum or
sourdough
cherry.
bread that's a little too sour?
What'd you say?
You ever had a little sourdough bread that's a little too sour?
Yes. Is that what it tastes
There you
like
go.
when you don't use my cream?
Maybe.
Amazing. I want to have 5 to 10 different flavors altogether.
Now we're talking. Well, it sounds like your market would be perfect for Joe Rogan listeners.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think that like after the first quarter of sales, after we're able to analyze everything, we should be able to have a bigger budget, and we should be able to get a commercial on his show.
I feel as if plugging anything after that.
You better start
Cream.
plugging things after that.
Yeah. Anyways, if you want to find more of me on the internet, not related to herpes cream, god damn, yeah. So it is. I know it is.
Issue
I know
people
it is.
experience, Kaylee. God damn.
It's actually laughter. Like I'm so excited that there is finally.
Oh, I'm sure
there's
that's what
finally
it is. Yeah.
a treatment to help those who just can't work with the taste of herpes. So this is excitement. Yeah, I do theology and trans stuff online, and I am currently writing a commentary on the book of Matthew while also doing all kinds of other writing and video stuff, all through the Center for Prophetic Imagination. So if you search up Prophetic Imagination on all social medias, you'll find it. The characters are too long because that's like 18 characters, and some social media only lets you do 15. Then it's prophetic image, and then you'll find it there. But our biggest thing is Substack. go subscribe and follow us there, because we're putting out a lot of good stuff for like fighting.
What do you all do on
Stochastism.
Domstack?
Was that?
What do you all do on
Domstack.
Domstack?
There's a reason why we're on Substack, not Domstack.
Oh, okay, good. To know. Very good.
That one's
Good
for
to
the
know.
Christian nationalists.
Speaking of Timothy, Tim, what do you want to plug?
Yeah, so I mentioned I'm a licensed professional counselor. I work for myself, which is great. I'm only licensed in South Carolina to provide mental health counseling. So I specialize in working with people dealing with anxiety, trauma, stress. I also specialize in working with people from the LGBTQIA plus community. And I do fully telehealth. So if you live in South Carolina or you're in South Carolina, I can work with you with counseling. I also do executive coaching. So if you do business stuff, I can help you do your business stuff. And it's not mental health stuff, but you can reach me here at www.goodecounsel, that's GOODE, counsel.com. So that's my blurb.
And all two of the South Carolina people that need mental health therapy.
All two?
Well, that listen to us at least.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I see.
Well, thank you all for sharing your perfect albums, incredible albums. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that most of them I've actually heard, and all of the albums that I do know that you all mentioned are incredible albums. So if there are any albums that you all haven't listened to that were mentioned, you have to go check them out. There's unbelievable albums. And so thank you all for joining us. Incredible albums, and it's always fun to just talk about some of the music that has shaped who we are and why we are the way we are. So thank you so much.